The Blueprint, that was my favorite album of 2001, 2002. Yeah, The Blueprint. Yeah, The Blueprint. Oh, hey guys, we're actually talking about Melt Cosmetics, the Blueprint. This is one of their palettes that they have recently formulated from a stack into the palette. But before we get started, welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley, and if you're an oldie but a goodie, welcome on back. And if you're new, welcome. And like I just said, my name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy, and I love makeup, and that's how you get Dr. Ash and her makeup. But eyeshadow is really my jam. So like I said, we're not talking about Jay-Z the Blueprint. We're actually talking about Melt Cosmetics, the Blueprint palette right here. And I'm going to go ahead and open her up. And this is the Blueprint stack that has actually been reformulated. Well, not reformulated, rehoused, given a new home, kind of fitting for his name, as the Blueprint is his name, into a palette formation. So this was actually a stack, and you know Melt Cosmetics has been like reformulating everything, or actually not reformulating but rehousing a lot of their well-known stacks into the palette formation. So here she is. Now here is the unicarton, and per usual, Melt Cosmetic kills it when it comes to the packaging. Love the white packaging. Definitely looks like the Blueprint architecture plans for, you know, makeup instead of a house. And once again, we have the palette. So this palette consists of 8 shades and retails for $48. This palette actually released, I want to say, on January 8th, and it's available exclusively right now to Melt Cosmetics website. So I did order it from there. I'm not sure if it's going to come to Sephora or not. So unlike some of the stacks that were converted into palette formation, this actually includes no new shades. This is actually an 8 shade stack. The stack originally, I would kind of like throw a picture in there. It has some split pans, so it has all the original shades, and it's just, like I said, put into the palette formation. Now, I did not own the stack. I never actually owned any of the Melt stacks. I just never got around to trying them. So I'm actually pretty thrilled to try this out. So first, a few quick facts about the palette. Like I did just mention, it retails for $48. And this is the unicarton of the packaging. So it is distributed by meltcosmetics.com, and they are here in the USA, out of California. To be specific, that's Chatsworth, California. The total palette is 15.3 grams or 0.54 ounces per shadow. The packaging is recyclable, and once you open this palette, it is good for 12 months. There are no key directions or anything like that, or any warnings on the palette, and it just says apply around eyes as directed, and it is not marketing this as a pigment palette or things that are deemed unsafe for the eye. Now, there were a couple of liners that actually launched with this collection. They look gorgeous, but I decided just to pick up the palette. And like I did just mention before, all the shades are original to the stack that are here in this particular palette. So let's go ahead and jump in with some swatches, and then I will do the 3 looks for you so you can see how I created this beautiful look and 2 other ones. And of course, we'll wrap up with some final thoughts at the end of the video. So first up, we have the shade Nailed, Hammered, and Hot Wire. Beaming, King Stud, Dim Out. And Skylight. So here are the 8 shadows. And then we'll go ahead and I'm going to re-swatch King Stud. That one, that look looks pretty bad, or I have the swatch halfway going. So yeah, there is King Stud. So those are the 8 swatches. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get started. Eyebrows filled in using my usual, which is the Goof Proof Pencil 3.75. And of course, I have my Urban Decay Primer Potion on in the shade Caffeine. And lid is primed and ready to go. Whew, haven't filmed eye looks in like what seems forever. So I feel like this is like a good little start. We're going to go in with BK Beauty 201 brush. And let's see. So we don't really have a lighter transition tone in this palette. So, what do we want to do? Okay, so I think I'm going to start with the shade Dim Out. We're going to go in hot and heavy, blue already. And I'm just going to pick it up on this brush and we're going to diffuse in the crease. And we'll see how that goes in just a second. So looking good on the brush so far. And just going to kind of pat this down. And then we'll go ahead and diffuse out. And it is catching the type of brush I'm using. So this is more for the crease. So it's going to catch right there and definitely where I have the folds and the eyelids. Ooh, this is a beautiful inky blue. So far so good. It's blending out very well. And then I will change brushes in just a moment. So I'm just blending that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and switch it up. Got my Sonia G Crease Pro brush and going to start some more fine-tune blending that that other brush wouldn't allow us to do. I'm just going to blend around the edges. We might have to put something down to help us blend it out in a second, but it doesn't look bad. I'll go back in, same shade, Dim Out, and I'm going to build it up. And this is going to be built up directly in the crease. The shade is beautiful. It's very inky. And now I'm just going to kind of pat. Build up the intensity of the color. I really like how this looks. It's very bold though, very bold. All right, so now that I got that how I wanted it, it's very bold and intense. It's vibrant. It looks good. Now my BK Beauty 203 brush. I've really been liking these brushes a lot. I am going to go in with the shade King Stud. Now this is an intense blue shimmer. And just going to pat that on the outer corner. And I do have ever just a small amount of fallout, but nothing, you know, nothing too bad. This is really pretty. And you don't even really need anything to, you don't need any setting spray. It does show up nicely. I'm just going to go back in and just layer it up a little bit more. I wipe that brush off, then the same brush. Now I'm going to jump in with the shade, jump it in with Deadbolt. I'm just going to pat this. Ooh. And these shimmers are applying really nice. Sometimes I know like melt shimmers, we can be a little frustrated with it, but so far the shimmers have been really nice. It is blue. Now, okay, I'm gonna go back in with the Sonia G Crease Pro and I'm just going to try to lightly buff out some of this matte shade that we have. And now I'm just turning the brush on the side and just blending it out. If you don't want it to come up too far, you could definitely tone it down. All right, so I hate to do this, but you can take any shadow in your collection. I'm going to put down a little base shade. So I don't have a whole lot of like really light browns in my collection. So I'm going to take this Norvina palette. Like I said, you can use anything you have. And I'm going to go in with that shade Incense. And just to help buff it out because it is such a bright blue color. And I just want to see if I can kind of, yeah, clean it up just a tiny bit. And like I said, I kind of hate to do that, but sometimes with these bold palettes, you kind of need to do that. And that did help. It did help kind of smooth it out just a little bit. But overall, I am happy with the look. It is very bold, intense. All right, eyelid is primed over here. We're gonna jump in. We're gonna explore some more neutral capabilities of the palette. I am going to jump in with the shade Hammered, and we're gonna start that off in the transition area. And this is a very deep brown using a Rephr number 16 brush. So first I think I'm gonna kind of stamp it and then blend it out. And so far everything is blending out nicely. The mattes are super pigmented. So a little is going to definitely go a long way. I'm going to pick up just a little bit more of the shade Hammered and just kind of fill in the gap where sometimes I need a little more shadow because of my eye shape. All right, so I took my time blending that out so we can have a lighter blend right there on the side or on the edge, on the outer. And it did blend out nicely. I still think it would have been a little bit too dark for this particular look and what I was going for over here because I wanted it to just stay really blue and not have that deep brown. And in BK Beauty 203, I am going to jump in with the shade Hot Wire. You know I love coppery shades, so this should be fun. See what this is looking like. I'm going to start this on the end. Oh, this is beautiful. Beautiful orangey coppery shade. And I'm just blending that up to meet in the crease. I'm going to jump back in, Rephr number 16, going back in with Hammered, and I'm just going to just intensify. Then I have the Flat Definer by Sonia G. I am going to jump in with Beaming. And I'm just going to pat this in the inner corner. The shade is actually really pretty. It's a little bit more yellow in tone. And I'm going to fuse it with that copper shade we had. All right, so I'm going to clean up underneath my eyes and do my face makeup, and then I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Lashes on, face is on. So I used my Fenty powder foundation today. I used this Fenty Gloss Bomb in the shade Cookie Jar. This is one of the cream ones. Really great. Of course, I use my favorite Melt blush duo in Queen Bee. This is the orangey one. Boom. So everything else will be down below. And let's see. Let's go ahead and wrap up this lower lash line. Now, I did want to mention, I'm like looking for it. Like, where's my brush? Okay, got my brush, my Sonia G. And then, here it is, my liner. So I did go ahead and put my Blitz Blue Liner on by Pat McGrath. So once I got my lashes on, I'm like, oh, both of these looks are really cute. So let's go ahead, jump back in with the palette real quick. Here she is again. And let's see. So for the blue eye, I want to go in with, let's see, I'm going to take the shade Dim Out. That was the matte that we used, really pretty ink blue. And I'm just going to run this on the lower lash line. Am I in focus? There we go. Just brushing it or just kind of running it right along. Just to tie it all in. Ooh, that is really pretty. Then I'm going to wipe that brush off Then we'll go back in with a little bit more of Deadbolt right there. And I'm just going to kind of touch up the inner corner of the eye and kind of wrap it down to the bottom. Like, did I put too much on? We'll see in a second. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just wiping off the brush really well. I am going to go in with that same brush. I'm going to take the shade Hammered. That was the matte on the neutral side, and run that. Then I'm going to go in with the shade Nailed right here. This shade we did not use. It's another shimmer shade, and I'm going to run this. This shade is really pretty as well. And I'm going to make sure I have enough hammered on. Just popping in with a little bit more of the mascara. This is my Bad Girl Bang. Just going to put this on the lower lash line. All right, so here are the first two looks. What do we think? I think they are really, really pretty. Really, really pretty. I mean, you got neutral over here. Can't go wrong. And you got bold, bold blue over here. But I really like both of the eyes. I really enjoyed the blue eye for sure. So everything performed really well. I have no complaints. The shimmers were great. The mattes blended out very well. Yeah, I like both of them. You could tell all the different tones of blue in this eye. And then you got your basic neutral eye that's actually really beautiful as well. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna wipe this off and we're gonna go in with another. All right, I'm back. Eyelids reprime. Gonna jump in with the Soleil G Blender Pro, and I'm gonna try something a little different. So I hope it works out. Gonna jump in with the shade Nailed It right here. And like I said, I'm just going to go in with the Blender Pro, and I'm going to attempt to use this kind of like in the crease as, you know, somewhat of a matte. Okay, and this shade is actually really pretty. Okay, and I like how that looks. So yeah, that's pretty. That is really pretty. Okay. This is a nice honey gold shade. And I'm just going to sweep it up, and I'm going to sweep it just a tiny bit over. And I'll see if I'll need to darken it up in just a moment. Now that I have that shade down, I wiped it off, and I'm going to jump in with the shade Skylight, but I might need to switch over to a packing brush. So this is Skylight. I'm just placing that down. Ooh. First, I'm using this blending brush, but like I said, I might want to switch over to a packing brush. Ooh. Alright, so I really like that shade Skylight, but I'm going to jump in with my Soleil G. This is the Builder Pro, and I'm just going to pick up more of the shade Skylight just so we can just make it a little bit more intense in some areas, because this is more of a packing brush. I am liking this. This is looking nice and whimsical. These two shades together. And the formula has been so nice. I haven't had a problem with anything, as you can see. Okay, so now I have my MAC angled brush right here, and this is where it gets a little tricky, just a little tricky. We'll see in just a second. So I want to attempt to do like a liner with the shadow. I think it'll be very pretty. And I think I'm going to go in with the shade King Stud right here. I was like, do I need mixing medium? I do have mixing medium. Let's see. I'm going to spray it. Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. Going to spray this. And let's see how this works. So far, so good. But I think I might need to change over to my mixing medium. I'm going to continue to kind of just spray the brush. That is looking really pretty. Okay, please don't water. Not the time, not the time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up the liner and do the other side. Okay, so I got the liner on, or I got the eyeshadow on as liner. I'm very happy with how it looks. So I'm just gonna take a little Neutrogena wipe and clean up. Now I want to show that part on camera. Next time I would say the setting spray did work, but I had to keep wetting it. So next time I would say I would use like a mixing medium. And just to kind of like give it a little bit more stick or a little bit more opacity, I'm just going to go in with that Blitz blue pencil by McGrath and just kind of fill in a couple of areas right here that didn't stick so well. Then I'm going to go ahead and line my waterline with that same liner. Apply my lashes and touch up my face and makeup, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. This is the final look. As you guys just saw the close-up, I really like it. I think it's a little bit different. It's a little whimsical, and then you have that bold blue liner, so I'm really here for it. So I opted not to go with lashes, and I went ahead and picked up my NYX mascara in this bold bright blue. So I just did my lashes with that and my bottom lashes, and then the rest of the face details are the same. So let's go ahead and talk about this little thing right here. So I really do like it. I think you can get some fun, unique color combinations with it. I mean, it's half neutral, it's half blue. So if you're not for blue shadows, like, just don't bother, because this is not going to be for you, because you're only getting 4 neutral shades. Now, the neutral shades are really gorgeous. Now, this shade right here, Nailed, really surprised me because I really like how it buffed out. All of the shimmers, I had no problem with it because, you know, sometimes Mel's formula, we hate to say it, but it's just the truth. It can be very hit or miss with the shimmers, but all of these shimmers perform very well, which is what you need to happen, because look, you only got 2 mattes, so you need the shimmers to perform, otherwise the palette is not going to work. Now, let's jump into the 2 mattes. Dim Out, gorgeous inky blue. Now, I will say that it's a little difficult to blend out as a transition shade. In that first look I did not want to go in with such a deep brown. So that's why I opted to pick up that Norvina palette. And that's just what I happened to pick up because I knew it was some lighter shades, brown shades in that palette, where I don't have really that in my singles collection. But you can use anything you want to use. So you might have to, if depending on what you're going for in your look, you might have to pull in maybe, you know, a good transition shade just to start your look off. That doesn't really bother me, but it's just something to take notice with, because there really isn't, you know, a lighter shade. This brown Hammered is really deep. It's very pigmented. You can sheer it out a little bit, but it gets very brown, and that really wasn't the vibe I was going with over here. But overall, I felt like the 2 mattes that were in the palette, they were very pigmented, bold, creamy, weren't patchy. You can blend them out well, and they still kept their color. So I really do like that. All of the shimmers were really gorgeous. King Stud is beautiful. This shade right here, Deadbolt, is gorgeous as well. Skylight, I love how it looks next to the shade Nailed, like I just mentioned before. And then even Hot Wired, it was such a beautiful orangey color. So I just feel like in this palette you can get a lot of combinations. There's still a lot of combinations that I haven't even explored myself. You know, like just even putting a Deadbolt all over the lids, or just kind of doing a halo eye, even popping one of these shades in the inner corner. So I really do like it. I feel like, you know, even if you were traveling, once travel opens back up, like you can kind of throw this palette like in your bag and just maybe one other transition shade, you know, just to have, like, you have night out on the town right here, and then you got every day, or you can just kind of mix and match. So I really do like the quality of this. It's beautiful. Once again, Melt knocked it out of the park with the gorgeous packaging. It really feels like, you know, it's a blueprint. I love how bold and vibrant the blue is on top with the white writing. The pack, you know, the theme of the package just goes right continued on the inside as usual. Then the outside unicorn carton is great as well. Like Melt, you know, they always just knock it out with the packaging for me. Like when they do a collection, they keep it. And I like how they have, you know, kind of like the reminiscent. They're paying old to the stacks right here. So you can see basically, like, you know, they're showing the stacks. Like this used to be a stack. And I really like how they formatted this palette. It's really beautiful. I have no complaints about the formula. The formula is great. So it looks like Melt is finally kind of keeping it consistent for us, because She's in Parties was very consistent. The Beetlejuice palettes were consistent. And now we have this little baby right here. So maybe they found their way. Maybe they figured it out what they need to do in order to keep the formula great. So overall, I really do like this palette. I like the looks that I came up with. You have to let me know what was your favorite look. I want to say this was my favorite look. I think it was a little bit different for me. And I would like to say that the second look was the all blue. I really love that look. And the third look would be the more neutral eye. So overall, I really do like it. Let me know down below if you're going to pick up this palette. Like I said, like, you know, this is personal choice. If you like blues, then I say you should grab it. If you're not a blue person, leave it alone. So let me know down below in the comments what you think. Give this video a big thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you know when I come out with another video, which will be very, very soon. And with that being said, you already know what time it is. It's time for the chair dance. Hey, 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 chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. All right, y'all. Bye.